Welcome back to Accessible Adventures. I'm Bavital, and today we are in Minneapolis, Minnesota at Huntington Bank Stadium, the heart of the University of Minnesota, home to the Golden Gophers football team. Huntington Bank Stadium opened in 2009, making it one of the first new college football stadiums to be built in the 21st century. It seats over 50,000 fans and was designed with sustainability in mind, being one of the first collegiate stadium to earn LEED certification, which stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. We're here to check out not only just the game, but the accessibility features of this modern stadium to help you plan your visit. Whether you're a diehard Gopher fan or just looking to catch a game at this iconic venue, we'll cover what you need to know and make sure your experience here is comfortable and enjoyable. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you don't miss out on future adventures. Alright, let's dive in and explore Huntington Bank Stadium. We were dropped off by our Uber at the rideshare drop-off point, a few blocks southwest of the stadium. If you plan to use a rideshare app, be prepared to walk a few blocks. It's not too bad, but the walk can get very crowded depending on when you arrive. But if you plan to drive, be aware that the parking situation can be tricky. Without a season parking pass, ADA parking is not easily accessible near any of the entrances. Another alternative would be to take the Metro Transit's Green Line, which stops about a block from the stadium, but keep in mind this could get very packed around the start and at the end of the game. We arrived at Gate A to watch the University of Minnesota's marching band welcoming all the Minnesota fans. The marching band. It is one of the many traditions of college football. A lot of Hawkeye fans making a drive up I-35 North to root for their team. These gates open an hour and a half before kickoff. That's about 15 minutes away, so we'll make our way to the entrance. Our seats today are in the ADA section in the first row, so we are excited we'll get to be so close to the action. It's usually very rare to have first row ADA seatings. The gates are now open. We are free to enter. We'll go to the main concourse and grab some food. That's what we do. All right. Thank you. How's it going? The elevator took us from street level to the main concourse, where there are plenty of accessible restrooms and a guest services desk. Bypassing these flights of stairs. The elevator leads you out that way. Huntington Bank Stadium has a modern open concourse design that allows fans a view of the playing field while walking around, which really helps to enhance the fan experience in my opinion. We take a look at the field. My plan was to go up to the very top level and get a view of the Minneapolis skyline. No, they should have an elevator. I wanted to test the staff's knowledge on where the nearest elevator was. Hey, do you know if there's an elevator? So I have disability, those ADA seats on the front row there. Do you know if there's an elevator I can take to the tunnel or? Okay, that's all right. The staff member, most likely a volunteer, did not know where the elevator was and proceeded to get this information from the concession workers who were very busy. Yeah, that's all right. I'll find somebody. We're just going to check out the place. I appreciate your help, though. Thank you. Continuing on, I stopped to get a view of the field at the 50-yard line. Some puddles left by the rain earlier. There's also an adequate amount of ADA seats here. ADA rows. Student section is already packed over there. That's going to be a fun section. We track back to the concourse to look for something to eat. Right now it's about an hour and 15 minutes until kickoff. And this main concourse is still relatively light with all the foot traffics right now. And now it's just a matter of deciding which wholesome stadium food to go with. I also want to point out that I did not see any concession counters to have accessible space. And I believe these accessible counters must be a little bit wider and a maximum height of 36 inches. I got the brats. Again, taking a look at the seating configurations in the main concourse, they do have ADA rows in every other section. We couldn't spot any dining table or counter, so we sat and ate here at the 25-yard line. We make our way to the corner of the field right by the student sections, where the seats here are aluminum benches with no backrests. And here at the student sections, towards the end zone, there is a lot of energy going on. Now we're going to take the elevator up to the top level to catch that view of the skyline. But first, we have to navigate right across this concourse as fans are fueling up fast. I find it tough enough to navigate through a crowd of people already, and doing so with a mobility issue and a concourse full of eager young college football fans could be quite a bit tricky. Moving across that concourse feels like we were reaching across the other side of the Nile, but here we are at the elevator. You get to the top level from here, right? Nice. The elevator takes us to the very top level. Check out the view of the Minneapolis skyline from up here. It's certainly worth the trek. That is a nice view. Look at this view of downtown Minneapolis. We are right by the camera booth. It's late September here in Minneapolis and the temperature can vary. Earlier today it was a bit hot and humid in the 80s. But after that rainfall, it's much more comfortable with the temperature being in the mid-70s right now. If you're a fan of the view, I suggest you go up here and check it out when at Huntington Bank Stadium. It was now near kickoff time. We wanted to find our seats, but since our seats are in the first row by the field, we didn't know how to get there by elevators. So I asked one of the attendants at the guest services desk. So we stood there and waited, and waited, and waited for roughly about 10 minutes as she was looking for the answer. So the information we inquired was not available on the spot. We appreciated that she took the time to look it up. We were directed to go back to the same elevator we originally took when we entered the stadium and go back down to street level. And that's about it. So now the concourse is getting packed as the game is about to start. This is usually my least favorite time to walk around as it is the busiest, but we have to make do. At some point I took behind this elderly couple so that they could lead the path forward. I've been to spectating events where there are just as much, if not more, people in the crowd, but the amount of people standing static in the middle of the concourse and large groups of students having little spatial awareness can make this flow of traffic a bit chaotic for anyone. The majority of the fans here are very orderly. Thank you.
Got two coming up.
So we go straight over there. We're now back at the entry point. We were pointed here by guest services. Or maybe it's in here. No, this is another entrance. I don't even know. Will someone point us to our actual seats?
I think so. 108, 108.
We did some digging. A guy told us to go through this tunnel. We'll head down the tunnel. At this point, I'm starting to think that we've missed some signs, maybe? I mean, how could it be this complicated to get to ADA accessible seats? If it's this complicated, they wouldn't be accessible, would it? We kept walking down the corridor of this tunnel, hoping we see a sign that'll lead us to our seats, ADA row 1 in section 107, but to no avail. We finally run into somebody who might be able to help.
Row 108.
So,
Row 1,
and then
108.
they let you in with the
Yeah,
selfie
yeah,
stick.
this is fine. It's not a selfie stick. It's a stabilizer.
Okay. Usually the door is back that way. Yeah.
The
So
door
let's
for-
take ADA. So let's take you back this way.
All right, back walking some more. I wish I would have had some information on this earlier.
I was a bit frustrated at this point, to say the least. We had to retrace our steps through the tunnel, which added more walking than I'm used to for today.
Come on.
All right, let's pause for a moment. Since we're at a football game, I like to try out this play-by-play telestrator just like John Madden. There were a few things that could have improved the accessibility experience for fans with needs. The young usher could have directed us to the door on my right when I inquired about ADA seating. Additionally, there were no clear signs indicating the location of these accessible seats. There was this sign. Let's see if we missed anything. This sign does not indicate where our accessible seats are located. Then there's the sign next to the door that reads GR3, but that's not clear. So our faith is to walk down another tunnel just to get to our seats. Hopefully this will be the right one.
First one, I think.
At last, we made it to the mythical ADA front row.
13, 14.
Okay, so this is 13 and this is 14.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, how's it going? We're seat neighbors.
We finally made it to our seats. It was a long journey, but we're here. We finally made it. Here's the view from our seat, front row, near the goal line. And there's this broadcast antenna inconveniently located right in front of us.
Huntington Bank Stadium here on the campus of the University of Minnesota.
We're right up close in the smack of the action. I'm sure it's going to get loud and rowdy here when the games get started. It did took us a while to get here. I wish there were clearer signs or more knowledgeable stadium staff to help point the way. But for an accessible row, this one is as close as one can get to the action on the field. Before the game starts, Huntington Bank Stadium becomes alive with high-energy pregame festivities.
This is John Phillips Sousa's Minnesota.
The chant of Ski-U-Ma echoes throughout the stadium. There is a sense of tradition, pride, and spirit that is unmistakable here.
As we honor America by joining Director of Bands Dr. Emily Trinan and the pride of Minnesota in our national anthem.
The visiting Iowa Hawkeye players take the field from the tunnel right next to us. Arriving in the same accessible row are two of Team USA's Paralympic athletes, freshly returned from the Paris game, Chuck Aoki and Mallory Wegeman. Both are Minnesota natives. Hopefully their experience finding these accessible seats was much smoother than mine. And this game has kicked off. The Gophers will start with the ball on the opposite end of the field from us. We quickly realized that when the action is at that opposite end of the field, it is very difficult to see from this angle. Nevertheless, the atmosphere was very electric. And it's Iowa that scores the first touchdown in this Big Ten rival game. We took a break in the action towards the end of the first quarter to grab a bite and drinks, this time at the open end zone concourse. The atmosphere out here was very chill and the traffic was relatively light.
Give him a yard on the play. It's second down, 9 yards to go.
Now we must decide again which wholesome stadium food to go with. We went back to our seats with food and drink in hand. And at this point, we're halfway through the second quarter and it's still 7-0 Iowa. And that's a touchdown, Golden Gophers. They tied it up 7-7. And then just like that, Minnesota scores another touchdown to take the lead. And we go into halftime with the score, Iowa 7, Minnesota 14. At halftime, the crowd was treated to a performance by the University of Minnesota Marching Band, also known as the Pride of Minnesota. The precision marching, flag bearers, and intricate formations really add to the energy of the performance. In the crowd, we spotted former Hawkeyes basketball star and current Minnesota Timberwolf, Luka Garza, interacting with the Iowa fans. The players are heading back onto the field for the start of the second half, and we spotted NBC's sideline reporter Catherine Teppin nearby, preparing her notes for the halftime report. The third quarter is underway, and Minnesota is looking for a crucial third and goal stop right here. And the Hawkeye fans celebrate as Iowa ties it up with a touchdown run. As I mentioned earlier, this game would get rowdy, and it is. This is a close one. These seats really put you in the midst of the action. Iowa takes control of the second half with a long scoring drive, putting them ahead 21-14. Late in the game, the Hawkeyes found themselves at Golden Gophers' end zone in front of us. Iowa punches it in. They extend their lead 31-14. All the Hawkeye fans are excited. We are heading towards the exit. With about 10 minutes left on the clock, We have prior commitments, and it doesn't seem like the Golden Gophers will mount a comeback in this game. We wanted to beat the traffic. We didn't miss out on any more action. As the score stayed 31-14, the Iowa Hawkeyes claimed this year's Floyd of Rosedale Trophy. One final look at the field at Huntington Bank Stadium. I'm not sure when I'll be back to this place. As we leave this impressive collegiate venue, here are my thoughts on the experience and accessibility from our visit to Huntington Bank Stadium today. It was filled with exciting moments on the field, but there were some areas where the overall experience could be improved. For me, the experience started with the rideshare drop-off point, which was a little bit further from the entrance compared to many other venues. This distance can be challenging for those who need easier access. Navigating the crowded concourse added to that challenge, and it was clear that some of the staff weren't fully informed when it came to accessibility details. Additionally, the signage throughout the stadium could be clearer, as it wasn't always easy to figure out where to go to find key areas. That being said, Huntington Bank Stadium has a lot of potential, and small improvements in these areas could make a big difference for fans with accessibility needs. It's a beautiful venue, and with a little bit more focus on accessibility and better staff training, it could be a smoother experience for everyone. By planning ahead, you can enjoy a smoother and more enjoyable game day experience at Huntington Bank Stadium. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments about your own experience at Huntington Bank Stadium or other venues, and I'll see you in the next adventure.